Mrs. S. Shobana is working as Assistant Professor in the Department of English at Sindhi College of Arts and Science, Chennai. She has done a UG in Botany with distinction at SRC Trichy. She has done her MA and MPhil in English Literature under Alagappa University, Karaikudi. Now, she is doing a PhD in English under the University of Madras at Queen Mary's College, Chennai. She has attended many workshops and conferences and has presented papers in national and international level. She has more than 10 years of teaching experience in UG and PG in the area of English, environmental science, and soft skills. Her research interests are environmental science, public health, and hygiene.
Welcome to UGC lecture series on public awareness part 10. In my earlier session, I was telling you about a few of the diseases, their causative organisms, the symptoms, and the preventive measures which we can take in order to eradicate such diseases for a healthy and safe living. In this session, I am going to tell you about environmental sanitation, public hygiene, and water related diseases. First of all, let me tell you about the recent developments that have been made on safe and clean drinking water and sanitation, which have been declared as a human right now. On 28th July 2010, the United Nations General Assembly declared that proper, safe and clean drinking water and sanitation should also be made as a human right to enjoy the full enjoyment of all the other human rights. The UNICEF and the WHO, in their joint monitoring team, they declared that more than 900 million people suffer every year due to lack of safe drinking water. The United Nations organizations have deep concern over this and they are trying to solve such problems. The UNICEF and the WHO are talking to the UNO and other international organizations to fund them and to give them the necessary technologies and resources to solve all these problems to bring this nation into a healthy and proper nation. The sanitation facilities are to be given to the general public, which is the utmost need of the hour. The environmental sanitation and hygiene development. About 2.4 billion people globally live under highly unsanitary conditions. Poor hygiene and behavior pattern increase the exposure to risk of incidents and spread of infectious diseases. Look at the picture of the lady where she is standing in an ugly atmospheric condition. This shows that the country has not provided proper sanitation facilities. So, it is the duty of the rural bodies and the local bodies to provide them with proper sanitation facilities and environmental cleanliness. Here, look at this picture which shows the ugly condition of the environment where we are living. Here, the habitation of the people are on the sides of the pipeline, and look at the garbages which are thrown here. This also shows that until and unless all these things are clear, we cannot expect a healthy living of the people. Water improperly stored in homes is frequently contaminated by inadequate management at the household level. This can be easily reduced through education and awareness of how waterborne diseases are transmitted. See, I was telling you about the UNO's General Assembly on July 28, 2010. In the subsequent year itself, on September, it was declared that it is the right of every citizen to have proper sanitation and proper access to drinking water. It is their right and it is the duty of the government to provide them with proper access. So here look at the picture as how water is stored in an improper manner. And it is the duty of the ladies to collect water from faraway places, and only a few men, only 14% of the men are helping the ladies to take water for their houses. Not in all houses of India that water is available inside their household premises itself. People have to travel for long distances, and the water which they collect is also unsafe for drinking and other purposes, and they are not aware that water should be stored properly for their day-to-day uses. Health and water resource development. An important aspect related to water-related diseases, in particular water-related vector-borne diseases, is attributed to the way water resources are developed and managed. See, it is said that the pipelines and the water tanks where water is stored should be frequently checked, washed and chlorinated when it is supplied to the houses. The rural bodies have to check it and see that proper, clean and safe water is provided to each and every house under their control. In many parts of the world, the adverse health impacts of dam construction, irrigation developments and flood control is related to increased incidence of malaria, Japanese encephalitis, schistosomiasis, lymphatic filariasis and other conditions. When the government is constructing some dams or for some irrigation facilities, or suppose if a flood is checked, there is incidence of many vector-borne diseases or some epidemics are likely to occur, and it is the duty of the government to see that the people are free of all these diseases when they are doing some works like these. Other health issues indirectly associated with water resources development include nutritional status, exposure to agricultural pesticides and their residues. See here, when the agricultural lands are ignited with some pesticides or other residues, it will totally affect other health issues indirectly associated with water resources development include nutritional status, exposure to agricultural pesticides and their residues. Suppose if water resource is contaminated in an area, automatically it will affect the irrigation and the pesticides. If it is not properly used, the plants will be affected, and due to water contamination and the pesticides use, the people in that particular area who are consuming such water and plant will naturally be affected. Arid areas with rapidly expanding populations are already facing a crisis over water. Conservation of water and better management is an urgent need. The demand and supply balance is a vital part of developing sustainable use of water. Here already I told you that in many of the houses, people don't have water facilities inside their premises. They have to depend on the village wells or some other water facilities which are provided by the government organization. So, it is the duty of the local and the rural bodies to check that water is properly stored, the tanks are cleaned properly at regular intervals, and water supplied through the pipelines are properly used, and see that people get pure, safe drinking water for their regular purposes. Now, let me explain you about Blue Revolution. Blue Revolution is the equivalent term of Water Revolution, which came out during the Third World War in Tokyo. It was the buzzword which came into existence then, and now recently the UNO is declaring that a severe water scarcity crisis will occur during 2025 if people are not going to store the water properly and use them properly for their future uses. This is being termed the Blue Revolution and needs governments, NGOs and people to work together towards a better water policy at international, national, state, regional and local levels. We have to see that we are not wasting water and saving water for our future generations. Local good watershed management is the key to solve local rural problems. The local and the rural bodies have to check that water is properly supplied at proper intervals to the people according to their usage and that water is not wasted. Circulars and announcements have to be made to the general public to give them the importance of water and about wasting water, which is going to be a great threat to them itself. Present patterns of development are water hungry and water wastage. They do not address pollution and overuse. The importance of water have to be stressed. Now water is said as the precious oil of the 21st century. So we have to check and use and create awareness to others too by our fitting example in saving water and using water in a proper way. The linkages between managing water resources and health issues have not been prioritized as a major source of environmental problems that require policy change, administrative capacity building and an increased financial support. The source of water is a natural resource which is the gift of God given to us. It is we people who are spoiling the natural resource and we have to check ourselves that we are using it properly and managing it for our future use. The water which is given to us is safe for drinking and we have to use it properly. I have told you about some of the few water related diseases in my earlier sessions. Here the major types of water related diseases are given. They are waterborne diseases, water based diseases and water related vector diseases and water scarcity diseases. Look at the safe water which is given here. Now coming to waterborne diseases. Waterborne diseases are the contaminations which are occurring in water by the pathogenic microorganisms which are found in the water. When we human beings or animals consume this water which is contaminated, the germs, the pathogenic bacteria or the protozoans or the metazoans enter into our body and cause diseases. These are caused by dirty water contaminated by human and animal waste, especially from urban sewage or by chemical waste from industry and agriculture. When the industrial and the agricultural waste are let out and when they mix with the general drinking water and when people consume such water without awareness, it will affect their health condition. Waterborne diseases. Some of these diseases such as cholera and typhoid cause serious epidemics. Diarrhea, dysentery, polio, meningitis and hepatitis A and E are caused due to improper drinking water. Excessive level of nitrates cause blood disorders when they pollute water resources. So I was telling you about the protozoans which are found in the water which when contaminated cause diseases. Let me explain you about this in detail after the break. Now let us meet after the break. Regarding the pathogenic organisms that are found in water and related to the waterborne diseases, the protozoans are the metazoans that are found in the water. Suppose if you take in the case of the nematoda, it is the roundworms which are found in our body which is caused by contaminating impure and unsafe drinking water. When you consume that water, the vectors Copepoda enters into our body and which has the nematode larvae, it multiplies inside our body and gives us the nematoda or the roundworm disorders. Pesticides entering drinking water in rural areas cause cancer, neurological diseases and infertility. Improving sanitation and providing treated drinking water reduces the incidence of these diseases. So, not only now, in the earlier ages also, when you take the germ theory of diseases, when the camel caravans were found, when people were traveling through South Asia or Africa during the Silk Road, when they traveled, the explorer Owen, he found out that people drank only less water and they drank tea. When he inquired them, they said that pure water was not available to them, and when they consumed water, it created diseases. So, it was better for them to drink tea or coffee in order to escape from getting diseases. So, when water is unsafe for drinking, it causes a lots of diseases. Aquatic organisms that live a part of their life cycle in water and another part as a parasite in man lead to several diseases. In India, guinea worm affects the feet. Roundworm live in the small intestine, especially of children. See, in South Asia, the people had a superstitious belief that when they consumed water without boiling or when they consumed it raw, they were likely to get blisters on their feet. It was a superstitious belief, but the real fact was that the water was contaminated, and when they drank that water, they got blisters on their feet. Water related vector diseases. Here, when you take the case of mosquitoes, mosquitoes breed where water is there. Insects such as mosquitoes that breed in stagnant water spread diseases such as malaria and filariasis. The female Anopheles mosquitoes, they inject through the skin of the human beings and they suck blood and they transmit malaria from one human being to the other. Look at this condition where proper sanitation is not there, proper bathroom and toilet facilities are not provided to people. They have lack of awareness and so they use such type of bathrooms to excrete, and this is not a healthy practice. Malaria that was effectively controlled in India has now come back as the mosquitoes have become resistant to insecticide. In addition, anti-malarial drugs are now unable to kill the parasite as they have become resistant to drugs. So, the female Anopheles mosquitoes are the causative organisms of malaria and filaria. Here, we have been using many insecticides to kill these mosquitoes, the vectors that are spreading these diseases, but they have become resistant to all these. So, we have to find out some measures to check them, and the government is taking all possible measures to check, and it is we the general public to see that water is not stagnated near our houses, and we have to keep the water covered in our houses and in the atmosphere. Change in the climate is leading to the formation of new breeding sites. Other vector-borne diseases in India include dengue fever and filariasis. Dengue fever carries a high mortality. Filariasis leads to fever and chronic swelling over the legs. In one of my earlier sessions, I explained about the filariasis, how the legs have been swelled and people suffer a lot. This is caused only by the mosquitoes, and dengue fever is caused by the Aedes type of mosquitoes, and we have to check that mosquito breeding sites is not near our houses and that mosquitoes have to be checked, and we have to cover our houses with net lawns, and the windows and the doors have to be properly closed and shut, and to see that mosquitoes are not entering into our houses if we want to have a safe and healthy living. Eliminating mosquito breeding sites when pooling of water occurs in the monsoon, using fish to control mosquito larval population are ways to reduce these diseases without using toxic insecticide that have ill effects on human health. So, when you grow fishes in the water where mosquitoes are likely to breed, it will check the growth of the mosquitoes, and we also will be safe from dengue and malarial infections. Now we will move to water scarcity disease. This is one of the diseases which is becoming a severe threat. In areas where water and sanitation is poor, There is a high incidence of diseases such as tuberculosis, leprosy, tetanus, etc., which occur when hands are not adequately washed. See, when after contact with the excreta, when hands are not properly washed, particularly in children, 40% of the children are likely to get diarrheal diseases and 30% of children are likely to get respiratory diseases. So, awareness should be given that hands should be properly washed using soap after contact with excreta to escape from such diseases. Let me explain you as what is sanitation. It can be defined as access to the excreta disposal facilities. In the developing world, this often means access to an improved latrine like those that WaterAid and its partners promote. It is a very pathetic thing to say that only 40% of the houses in India are with proper toilet facilities, and the other people, more than 638 million people in India, defecate in the open, and 44% of the mothers, they just throw the excreta of their children in the open air or in the open water, which slowly contaminates the water and the land, and because of this we are likely to be suffering from diseases. In addition, adequate sanitation means a clean private environment as well as knowledge and understanding about the connection between hygiene and the disease. Look at the picture how the environment is clean. When our environment is also clean like this, we will not be getting any diseases due to lack of sanitation facilities. God has given us a clean and safe environment to live, but it is we who are misusing it. An improved sanitation facility is defined as one that hygienically separates human excreta from human contact. It is our prime duty to check that we are not in close connection with the toilet facilities. We have to be away from it, and many people in India have to use only the open sources of toilet, where the local government and the rural and the local bodies have to take care of all such issues. Among the main problems are a lack of priority given to this sector, lack of financial resources, erratic water supply and sanitation services, poor hygiene related behavior pattern, and inadequate sanitation in public places such as schools, hotels, hospitals, health centers, etc. The government has to take severe measures to check this. Now, the government is facilitating the people with public toilets in certain places, and some of the people are misusing it and they are not keeping them clean, which is again going to be a serious problem, which is going to create adverse effects on them. Water supply, sanitation and hygiene development. Government has supplied proper sanitation facilities, and the general public have to get awareness regarding this and use them in a proper way. Look at this condition where the water is contaminated with so much of impurities, and when people live in such surroundings like this, when their environment is like this, they are likely to be affected with all sorts of diseases. Look at the improper condition of the toilet facilities. People are not having general awareness about the sanitation facilities. When they get the awareness, and when we promote such awareness programs, they will get the knowledge about all this and they will stop keeping their surroundings in a bad and improper way, and they will use proper toilet facilities. One of the most important aspects is a lack of environmental education and awareness that these disease processes are related to poor environment management in various sectors. Providing access to sufficient quantities of safe water, the provision of facilities for a sanitary disposal of excreta, and introducing sound hygiene related behavior can reduce the morbidity and mortality caused by these risk factors. Look at the man, he is cleaning the bathrooms and toilets. When you keep your toilet facilities and your sanitation is maintained in a proper condition, it is very clear that the environment will be very safe. In many villages, there is no proper toilet facilities at home, And it is not a botheration for the boys, it is such a great botheration to the adolescent girls who are going to schools and who are not going to schools also. They have to wait till it is becoming dark to go out for their bathroom or toilet facilities. So, it is the duty of the government and the local and the rural bodies, places with proper sanitation facilities. Look at this picture of a lady who is using the road as a bathroom. Why are they doing such things? It is that they don't have proper access to such facilities, and it is our duty to create awareness in them not to do like this, and it is the duty of the NGOs and the government organizations to provide them with such facilities. And now to sum up, the need for public hygiene. Only when the public is having awareness regarding the hygiene facilities and how we can maintain our body in a better condition, they will not keep their environment and their houses clean. The necessity of public awareness regarding diseases and its causes. I was telling you about the schistosomiasis diseases. This disease is likely to come not by consuming contaminated water or anything. It is that when you come in close contact with the water which is contaminated, when your skin is so sensitive, when you get into contact with such water, schistosomiasis, the skin allergy disease you will get, and you will be infected, and this disease will slightly spread from one person to another person. In the year 1993, a new type of diseases by the Clostridium, it occurred in Milwaukee. Only 110 people were affected by this disease, but slowly more than 4 lakh people were infected, and only after that the researchers found out such a type of protozoa is there which causes such diseases, and it is the need for us to keep our water safe from contamination. When water is contaminated, we are likely to get all sorts of diseases. The importance of sanitation. Only if proper sanitation facility is available to the general public, the country will be free from all diseases. The school children, when they are provided proper sanitation facilities, the health condition of them will be improved, and their study level, their educational level also will improve, and we will get better educated graduates in our country. Now the questions which I am going to pose in front of you are: what is environmental sanitation? How is malaria caused? And what are the water related diseases? And what is water scarcity disease? And what is contaminated water? Thank you.